Hello, Reporter Room investigators. Welcome. I'm so glad you guys are here with me today. We are going to be talking about the Ruby Franke case and the 8-passenger case. We have so much stuff to get into. I have a lot of stuff to share with you today.
Hey LT, there's a panic room inside the garage, downstairs underneath the garage.
So the kids were reportedly being held in a panic room.
Yeah, he says it's downstairs and it's underneath one of the garages, and he's calling it a safe room. He said something about Fort Knox, so I don't know if it has a Fort Knox door or safe on it, but that's what he's talking about. 10-4, we've got it.
This is Reporter Room with Jessica Della Davies.
Hello. So welcome to Reporter Room. I'm so glad you guys are with me today. We are going to be talking about the Ruby Franke case. I have 911 audio part 1, but I also have a second one that I don't think has been aired yet on YouTube. Happy Saturday to you, Jane. If you want to join me in the top chat, you just need to be subscribed for 1 minute. Before we get started, let me thank our executive producers, our producers, our channel members. You guys make Reporter Room work. So Ruby Franke ran a 8-passenger channel, which is a channel on YouTube, and that channel is now down. I have exclusive 911 footage. I don't think anybody has yet on this case. I know that part 1 has been released, but I don't think part 2 has been released on this platform. So anyway, this should be really, really interesting. Let me just grab this for a second. Come on in, come on in, come on in. I'm glad you're here. Everything I'm sharing with you is my opinion. Opinions are not facts, so please don't send any negativity to anyone. Let's be kind to each other. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe. And hit the notification bell and give this video a thumbs up and help me out with the YouTube algorithm. I'm just checking to see if we are showing up as live on YouTube. If you guys can hear me, let me know in the chat. It does look like we're on. So that's great. Okay. So I know this is like a new case for this channel, and we have Jane is in the house. Welcome, Jane. Catherine is here. Hi, Catherine. Sixth Sense Amelia is here. Thank you to our mods, channel members, and subscribers. You just need to be subscribed to Reporter Room to join us in the top chat. Hi, Regina. So from the UK, welcome. It must be late your time. The bottom line is in the house. So everybody's starting to come in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. All right. So I have exclusive 911 information. I also have some other things to present to you as well. Let me grab those. Hang on 1 second. Let me open this up. Okay. So if you're not familiar with this case, I'm going to catch you up a little bit, and then I'm going to play you that exclusive 911 footage that nobody else has. I don't think I have not seen it on YouTube. So I've seen part 1 of the dispatch. I have not seen part 2. But let me catch you up on this. Okay. So let me share this with you. I have multiple packages. You guys know I'm always doing multiple packages. So let me share my screen. Let me take this away. Hold on 1 second. And let me add this in. Okay. So this will catch you guys up. So Ruby Franke and her business partner's name is Jodi Hildebrandt. They were charged with 6 felonies after Ruby's 12-year-old son climbed through a window at Jodi's house to get help for himself and his 10-year-old sister, who was being held in a panic room that he referred to as a safe room. This is Jodi Hildebrandt. She's the one wearing the sunglasses and the right here. And the other one is Ruby Franke. Can you guys see my screen? Yeah. Okay. Just want to make sure. So they have both been charged with CA. Frankie's 12-year-old son, the neighbor called 911. He knocked on the door of the neighbor's house begging for food and water. And when they found him, they found that he had rope burns on him. He had duct tape to his extremities and he was malnourished. They found out that there were supposed to be 2 other kids, and it's unclear why they were at Jodi Hildebrandt's house and not in Ruby's house. I don't know, but it's really, really gross. It resulted in both of them being arrested, and Ruby Franke and the Ace Passenger channels and Jodi Hildebrandt's connection channels are banned from YouTube. They're gone. So a lot of people were upset about some of the content that, hold on one second. Just lost my thing. There it goes. Okay, we're upset about the content that was on 8 Passengers. A lot of people wondered, if this is what they are showing us, what are they not showing us? And so they have been charged with 6 formal charges against Jodi and against Ruby. So Ruby Franke is the YouTuber that ran the 8 Passenger channel with her husband, whose name is Kevin, and Jodi Hildebrandt ran a YouTube channel with Ruby called ConneXtions. And the children were 10 years old and 12 years old. We're not naming the kids. So it says, quote, each defendant is accused of causing or permitting serious physical injury to the victims in different ways. 1, a combination of multiple physical injuries or, and I can't say this word, 2, starvation or malnutrition that jeopardizes life, and 3, causing severe emotional harm. This is according to the county attorney that shared this with Insider. Each of the 6 counts carries a possible prison sentence of 1 to 15 years. So that's for each of them. So the minimum is going to be 6 years if they're convicted. The maximum is going to be 6 times 15. So life. And the fine is up to $10,000. This went down in Utah. So why the kids were at Hildebrandt's house, Jodi Hildebrandt's, is unclear. So she was also charged with 6 felony counts. And so Frankie's 12-year-old little boy or young boy jumped out of a window at Jodi Hildebrandt's house. Now, why he was being held against his will at Jodi Hildebrandt's house, we don't know yet. But law enforcement arrived at the scene, and I have 2 911 calls. I think one has been released on the internet. The other one is new. I don't think it's on there. So the 12-year-old was taken to the hospital where he was placed on a medical hold due to deep lacerations from being tied up with a rope and malnourishment. And there was reportedly duct tape on his extremities. Duct tape should not be placed on skin, let alone a child's skin. Law enforcement then went to, and I'm going to play this part of the dispatch for you in just a second, Jodi Hildebrandt's house, where they discovered another one of Ruby Franke's children. This time it was a 10-year-old girl who was malnourished, also being detained. So we've heard a little bit from the family. I don't know. The sister spoke out. I have the audio from it. I went to get the video, but she took it down. But let me just go ahead. I know it's just absolutely unbelievable. If you guys can help me out by sharing this on YouTube, I would really appreciate it. Yes, they deserved so much better. They deserved so much better. It's just beyond awful. how these kids were being treated. So let me grab this other one, because Ruby Franke's daughter, Sherry Franke, also spoke out. Let me grab that. I'm just trying to get it. Sorry, guys. Okay, I'm like stuck for a second. Okay, let's grab this one. All right, here we go. Okay, let me see if I can grab this. Yeah. Okay, so on this one, can you guys see it okay? All right, let me scroll up. So, and I have the audio I'm going to play for you on the new 911 call in just a second. So, YouTube removed Ruby Franke's connection channel and says she cannot make any accounts anymore. So, Ruby Franke is banned, lifetime ban. Once you're banned from YouTube, you cannot come back. So, Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt were arrested and charged with CA. I have to watch my words here. YouTube told Insider it removed their joint account. So the connection accounts are down, and Ruby Franke's 8 passenger account, which has not been posted on since January of 2022, is also down. And Ruby Franke is not allowed to own or create any other additional YouTube channels. So YouTube confirmed this to Insider. Let me just take down so you guys don't have to watch all the ads. So they said that they removed Ruby's main vlog channel, the 8 Passengers and ConneXtions, after both Jodi and Ruby were arrested and charged with the 6 counts of CA. I'm watching my words here. And they did confirm, this was Nicole Bell from YouTube. You can see here, we can confirm that we have terminated the 2 channels linked to Ruby Franke in accordance with our creator responsibility guidelines. So they will not be allowed back on the platform. They will not be allowed to create any other YouTube channels going forward. If they do, they will, be reported. Now, the 8 passenger channel started in 2015, and it opened up with a gender reveal. So it started with 5 kids and ended up with the 6th one. They did a cake gender reveal where they revealed the gender of this poor little baby, and this child had to endure being on camera from when she was born until she was 6 years old. The kids repeatedly begged their parents for privacy because a lot of personal things were being shared by Ruby and her husband, Kevin Franke, on their YouTube channel. And in my opinion, it was for money. They made millions of dollars. They had at their peak 2.5 million subscribers. And the channel followed the lives of Kevin Franke, Ruby Franke, and their 6 children who were named Sherry. I'm not going to name the kids. Actually, I'm not going to. Sherry's grown, but I'm not going to name the kids. I want to just protect the kids for a second. Okay. Yeah, I agree. Will they arrest Kevin? I don't know. They haven't, that I've found yet. Why were they allowed to do it in the first place? That's my question to the platform. Why ban them now? Well, I think that, there were a lot of red flags with the channel. And I'm going to share some of those with you in just a second. I have a couple of packages ready to go. Let me grab that for you. But yeah, and if you want to, if you don't see me on YouTube, you can find me on Facebook. We have our own Reporter Room Facebook group. You're welcome to join us. And I am on Instagram if you want to join me on Instagram. So Yeah, let's protect the kids. Okay, well, let me grab these packages. I've like prepared two. One is the 911 call. There's the one that everybody has, and then there's this other one that I haven't seen on YouTube, so I don't know if it's on there. And I also have another video to play with just an overview. But let's do the 911 calls.
Hey LT, there's a panic room inside the garage, downstairs underneath the garage.
So the kids were reportedly being held in a panic room.
Yeah, he said it's downstairs and it's underneath one of the garages, and he's calling it a safe room. He said something about Fort Knox, so I don't know if it has a Fort Knox door or safe on it, but that's what he's talking about. 10-4, we've got it.
This is Reporter Room with Jessica Della Davies.
Hello, Reporter Room investigators. Today we're going to be listening to the 911 call. This is actually the dispatch call in the Ruby Franke Jodi Hildebrandt case. This is where you can hear that the dispatcher was sending law enforcement and also medical aid to the house. A 12-year-old boy reportedly climbed out of Jodi Hildebrandt's house. It was apparently Ruby Franke's child, and knocked on a neighbor's door begging for food and water, and had duct tape on his extremities and rope burn bruising. This is beyond sad, so I'm going to give you a trigger warning on this video. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Here is part one of two parts of the 911 dispatch call. I'm going to play the second part for you in just a moment. Let's listen in.
42 and you're 42 on scene.
So I'm playing part one first. Obviously, this is the order, but part two is the one that I don't think has been on YouTube yet. I think this is new.
Copy 10-6. Yeah, but it's where he said a 12-year-old male showed up with tape around his legs Thursday asking for help, said he was afraid asking for police.
So we know that it was a 12-year-old boy.
Copy 17.
10-4.
7 Alpha, 17 as well.
10-4.
101 to back.
10-4.
10-4, you can show me 17.
10-4, he gave the name of Franke, unknown date of birth, or he did give us the date of birth, but I'm not showing any relevance to film in. I'll keep looking into that. The RP said he left through the porch of the neighbor's house. Stand for break 12x11 and 17, just 1014. The male does have duct tape around each ankle. He's not telling the RP why.
So he initially didn't want to tell law enforcement why he had duct tape on both of his ankles. But he arrived at a neighbor's house malnourished with rope wounds on him and duct tape, begging for food and water. He had reportedly escaped from Jodi Hildebrandt's house, and she and Ruby Franke, who was his mother, both ran a YouTube channel called ConneXtions. And Ruby Franke is pretty infamous for her 8-passenger YouTube channel that she ran with her husband. I think it's pronounced Frankie, not Frank. Ruby Franke and her husband, Kevin Franke, ran the 8-passenger YouTube channel. I have two different 911 calls. This is the first one, and the second one I don't think has been on YouTube yet. I'm going to play those back to back for you right now. Yeah, I'm sure he was scared also. April, I think he was too. Yeah, I know. I think all of us kind of wondered, like, hey Bonnie, if he was willing, if these two parents, Ruby and Kevin, were willing to put what was raising red flags on the 8-passenger channel, we always wondered like what we didn't see, right? We always wondered what we didn't see. Well, now we're finding out why. Bonnie's wanting to know, I don't get notified for anything. Try hitting the notification bell again if you did not get a notification for this. And anyway, let's continue on because I have these 2 911 calls and then I have a couple of other packages to share with you. So
there's sores around his wrists and ankles. He's becoming, or correction, the RP is becoming emotional regarding the child's health.
So he has duct tape around his wrists and ankles. He's 12 years old.
Go ahead and have medical stage on this one.
Copy. 1X4323.
Right, Elizabeth. She did show up at the hospital, and that is on the dispatch call, the number 2 one. I'm going to play it for you in just a second. There's 2 different dispatch 911 calls. This is the first one, and the second one I don't think has been on YouTube yet.
Yep. 12X11, 12X14, or 17, sorry. The ERP said that he left from a neighbor's Jodi Hildebrandt in Ivan's 54-year-old female. Not sure if they're related. When asking the ERP's parents, has always said his mom is Ruby Franke, unknown where she lives.
So he doesn't know where Ruby Franke lives. I think he did probably know where his mom lived, but maybe he was really scared. I don't know.
Copy.
12X11, 12X17. I do have a Ruby Franke spelling with an E on the end of Franke address out of Springville. Only involvement was a traffic offense a couple of days ago.
Copy.
He's also saying that there's 2 of his sisters are back at the home as well.
So we know there were 2 other children, sisters of this 12-year-old boy who were back at the house of Jodi Hildebrandt. Now, I want to clarify that this is what the 911 dispatcher was saying. However, my understanding is there was just 1 other child that was taken to the hospital. It doesn't mean there wasn't another child there. It could have been a scapegoating situation and a golden child situation but there was a 10-year-old girl that was also found in this safe room, panic room. I'm going to play that second 911 dispatch for you guys in just a second. If you could give this a thumbs up, I would really appreciate the help with the YouTube algorithm. Why were Ruby Franke's children at Jodi Hildebrandt's house? Let's continue on.
Copy that. Control 12X11, 23. 12X11, 12X5, will you give me a 21? 10-4. Control 6 Delta 3, will be 82 if 1 female.
Copy 82, 1057.
Control 12X17.
Go ahead.
Do you have an address for that, Jodi?
So remember, this 12-year-old went to the neighbor's house and climbed out of the window of Jodi Hildebrandt's house. So they're trying to get the address to confirm Jodi Hildebrandt's address. She was arrested along with Ruby Franke.
Stand by 8.
Can you put that on the CAD, please?
Yeah, this is the kid's father. Okay, this is Kevin, and he ran the channel with Ruby called 8 Passengers. It had at its peak 2.5 million subscribers. This is one of 2 911 dispatch video that I'm going to play for you. I don't think the second one's been seen on YouTube yet.
Martina, go ahead.
Stand by.
1 Alpha, can you copy a welfare check?
1 0.
12X17, it looks like if you're at the looking looking out the front, go left. It's going to be your...
Copy that, thank you.
RP and the Juve are going to be sitting out on the front porch. No visible weapons. The male is currently wearing a long sleeve shorts. And medical's 23 as well.
So they've notified medical and they've confirmed that this 12-year-old is unarmed.
10-4-18, 3 minutes, medical's in front of me. Control Force 28, you can assign me that custody.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it, Jane? Where was Kevin? And what did he know, if anything?
Custodial, I'll be 21.
28, thank you. 10-4, I'll send you Jodi, 27 as well.
Copy that.
312, control 1036.
Go for it.
Here is part 2 of the 911 dispatch call. Okay, here is part 2 of the dispatch audio to Jodi Hildebrandt's house where Ruby Franke's children were being held. And I just want to give you guys a trigger warning on this, okay? This is really upsetting. So trigger warning on this second 911 call. I don't think anybody else on YouTube has played this yet. This is the second 911 dispatch call.
8 Alpha 6 will be upstairs on the 2nd floor.
Copy, do you have a unit number? 12X11, I think I may have found Dad, also a Kevin Franke address out of Springville.
So Kevin Franke was reportedly separated from his wife. What did he know and when did he know it?
Can I get a confirmation on the house on Plaza?
And also a vehicle search on Jodi. She's showing a white Lexus ES sedan.
Sure, 12X11, can you hold there? We're searching the house. Hey, LT, there's a panic room inside the garage, downstairs underneath the garage.
So the kids were reportedly being held in a panic room.
Yeah, he says it's downstairs and it's underneath one of the garages, and he's calling it a safe room. He said something about Fort Knox, so I don't know if it has a Fort Knox door or safe on it, but that's what he's talking about. 10-4, we've got it, but we can't get into it.
So initially, law enforcement was outside this panic room trying to get in. They couldn't get into it. This is the oldest daughter. She's grown now. Her name is Sherry Franke. And when she found out about her mother and Jodi Hildebrandt both being arrested, this is what she posted finally.
My guess is that would be where they're at.
So clearly law enforcement is looking for the other 2 children that are reportedly in the home of Jodi Hildebrandt.
He says it's a large room, it's a panic room. This one says Liberty Safe Company, it's got a big wheel on the front. I'm at the front door. On this case that we're working, we have the custodial parents of the child in the ER. She just came to our PD and then she took off when we said cops will talk to her in a second. So we're hoping maybe someone can go to this, but the cop at the ER can restrict access from her to her kids.
On this part, you can hear that Ruby, upon hearing that her children were being sent to the ER, and I don't know if she just knew about the 12-year-old son or if she knew about her 10-year-old daughter also, but she went to the ER to try to see the kids, and the law enforcement didn't let her in. And then when they tried to speak to her, she bravely ran away. And I'm being facetious. She ran away. Let's continue on. This was part 2 of the 911 dispatch call. This, I believe, has not been on YouTube yet. So it sounds like Ruby went to the emergency room when she found out her child was there. And when law enforcement tried to talk to her, she ran away.
You can relate to them. Her name is Ruby, and her name should be in the CAD comments.
Just confirming, this needs to be relayed to 12X9, who I'm showing at St. George Regional or at the St. George officer who's there.
The St. George officer that's there.
10-4.
Mine's on scene, we're executing search warrant. Mom is walking up to the house right now. 17, who's walking up to the house? Mother of a child. Control 12X3, we will be 84 with Ruby, the mother.
What do you think? So that's the second 911 call. I don't think anybody has aired that on YouTube yet, but there's two 911. They're both dispatch calls. So the first one, I think, has what came out yesterday. This second one is brand new. It hasn't been on YouTube yet. And it talks about a panic room, law enforcement trying to get into the panic room. Obviously, they did get into the panic room and they did rescue this little 10-year-old girl who was also sent to the hospital. But what this mother and and by the way, Jodi Hildebrandt used to be a licensed mental health therapist. She lost her licensing and then rebranded herself as a life coach, which basically is a nothing. Anybody could call themselves a life coach. You don't need any kind of licensing for that. But the fact that this woman ever had any kind of mental health therapist type of license is just beyond the pale. And they ran a YouTube channel together, and a lot of people describe this YouTube channel as being kind of culty. Let me share the other package with you. Let me grab it. You guys
Springville police tell Fox 13 News an incident that started in the St. George area this afternoon had them checking up on two children of local YouTube stars Ruby and Kevin Franke from the popular 8 Passengers YouTube channel.
Murphy said a 12-year-old male showed up with tape around his legs Thursday asking for help.
St. George police have confirmed with Fox 13 that the Santa Clara Ivins Police Department is handling the case in southern Utah.
This is Reporter Room with Jessica Della Davies.
Oh my gosh, you guys, this case has everything. Young children. Hello, Reporter Room investigators. Today, we're going to be talking about Ruby Franke, Kevin Franke, life coach Jodi Hildebrandt, along with the 8 Passenger Problematic Family YouTube channel, and some of the problems related to all family channels. We're going to talk about Jodi Hildebrandt's culty channel, ConneXtions, and Ruby Franke has a dirty little secret. So please stay with me. Ruby and Jodi have both been arrested. Ruby was a Utah mom who, along with her husband Kevin, filmed their 6 children for profit in the now defunct channel 8 Passengers. Ruby was arrested on Wednesday and charged with malnourishing her child. Her child was found with malnourishment, open wounds, duct tape to their extremities, and her child reportedly had to climb out of the window of her business partner, Jodi Hildebrandt, ran to a neighbor's house asking for food and water. Why was this child at Jodi Hildebrandt's house anyway? And I'm going to talk about Ruby's dirty little secret and some of the problems with family channels like 8 Passengers in just a moment, so please stay with me. But I want to CYA myself. I hope you understand that everything I'm sharing with you is my opinion. Opinions are not facts, so please don't send any negativity to anyone. Let's be kind to each other. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only, so please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and please give this video a thumbs up so I know you are here. So the 8 Passenger family channel was a dumpster fire, starring Ruby and her husband Kevin along with their 6 children. And actually, the channel started with just 5 children and a gender reveal party for their not yet born youngest child. So this poor little girl had to grow up being filmed from the moment she was born until she was 6 years old. Think about that. And to be clear, these children have none of the regular protections that child actors in Hollywood have. Child actors are only allowed to work a certain number of hours per day. They're required to go to school, and a percentage of the income that that child earns must be put away for that child's future. In contrast, family channels are not restricted as to how many days or hours their children can be filmed or work, and none of the money that is earned is required to be put away for these children. I'm going to talk about Ruby's dirty little secret and Jodi Hildebrandt's channel, which has been described as culty, in just a moment, so please stay with me. So Jodi Hildebrandt's channel has been taken down by YouTube, and Ruby's 8-passenger channel has been taken down by YouTube. Ruby is banned, and I don't know if Jodi is banned or not, but I'm sure if she isn't, she will be banned for life. And the ConneXtions channel that they had was described as being kind of culty, and get this, they were offering parenting advice. But let's continue on, you guys. We have so much to unpack on this case. So Ruby and Kevin's 8-Passengers family channel began back in 2015 with this gender reveal party. The family gathered around a cake to find out the gender of an unborn child. Now, the viewers find out that it was a girl, and again, this child has been on camera since before she was born, along with her siblings. And there's something gross about putting your children's most personal details onto the internet for anyone to see. We all know that predators have a habit of leaving timestamps in the comment section of. This is why on YouTube, sometimes you'll see comment sections turned off. A lot of times, creators aren't the ones turning off these comments, especially if it's a family channel. YouTube now turns these off because these predators were leaving timestamps of stuff. And Ruby really and her husband, Kevin, exploited their kids, in my opinion, this is my opinion, for money. They talked about the kids, the daughters shaving their legs for the first time on camera and showed it. You can see why, a certain type of person would be attracted to see that. And imagine having these things aired out in public for everyone to see when you're that age. You're so vulnerable as a preteen and as a teen. Family channel videos, which thankfully led to YouTube really cracking down on the use of children on this platform. Ruby and Kevin exploited their children by showing really humiliating and personal details, such as when her daughters would first shave their legs, when her daughter went shopping for her first bra, when they started their menstrual cycles, and on and on. Can you imagine how humiliating it must be to have your classmates and strangers know all of these intimate details about your life? Being a teenager or child is hard enough without watching your personal details being plastered all over the internet for everyone to watch. But according to Ruby, they made millions of dollars, so it's unclear if the children received any of this money. However, there were red flags about Ruby and Kevin's parenting throughout the years that the 8-passenger channel was going. It appears that the channel has been taken down, and I'm going to discuss Ruby's dirty little secret and Jodi Hildebrandt and her bizarre culty channel in just a moment, so please stay with me. So there was a time that Ruby's kindergarten daughter forgot to pack her own lunch, and Ruby hoped on camera that no one would give her daughter any food and bragged about refusing to bring her daughter lunch because her daughter needed to learn a lesson. Can you imagine? A 5-year-old has to pack her own lunch. Okay, that's already very, very young. A kindergarten. I'm sorry, it was a 6-year-old, but in kindergarten, you have to pack your lunch, right? You're responsible to pack your own lunch. But to make things even worse, if you forget your lunch, and again, this is a kindergarten kid, then you just don't get to eat. And this woman hoped on camera. She hoped on camera while she's driving in her car that no one would give her daughter any food. So this was the kind of stuff that was raising red flags for a lot of people watching the 8-Passengers channel. And the fact that this woman went on with Jodi Hildebrandt to give parenting advice on the ConneXtions channel is just absolutely gobsmacking. And I don't understand why Kevin didn't step in for any of this. Was the money just so great? Did he not, feel like he could stand up to his wife? Or was he complicit in all of this? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I have a lot of stuff to unpack. We have 2 more packages after this one. Let's continue on together, shall we? Let's continue on. Now, this child was in kindergarten. We all want our children to be accountable and responsible, but what is age appropriate? Is it appropriate for a child in kindergarten to be packing her own lunch and then be denied food if she forgot to take her lunch to school? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And I'm going to talk about Jodi's dirty little secret and Jodi Hildebrandt's culty channel in just a second, because Jodi Hildebrandt's and Ruby's channel is still up. So their channel had over 2 million subscribers. And I recorded this yesterday. It's down now. The ConneXtions channel is down. And Jane says Kevin was being pretty anemic in this situation. So I don't even know what to say, because he went along with all of this. So another thing that she pulled that somebody brought up in the comment section was she decided that for Christmas, they were going to give their kids the gift of love, but some of them were going to get presents. This is the triangulation that goes on in a narcissistic household. Some of the kids were going to get presents, but some of the kids did not deserve presents, and they were just going to get love. And she's putting this on the air for all of their classmates to see. The fact that she's doing this narcissistic triangulation, and maybe you've endured this in your own life. Have you ever encountered anybody like this in your life? Maybe you had a parent who favored one child over the other child, but even the golden child doesn't come out unscathed, because all of the children in the situation are being manipulated. So, where was Kevin in all of this? And averaged around 300 views per episode. So they were making, that should be 300,000 views. I've never hit 300,000 views on this channel ever. I cannot even imagine if they were making multiple videos a week, how much money they were making. They had to be making so much money. And it seems like the more punishments and extreme things that she did. And when you saw her face on 8 Passengers, she's like smiling. I wish I had footage, but the channel's down. She's like smiling and kind of gleeful about the fact that she's punishing the kids. She's clearly enjoying it. The whole thing is so gross. But let's continue on together, shall we? Let's continue on. Making great money on 8 Passengers. So when I say they, I'm talking about Ruby and her enabler husband, Kevin, because in my opinion, he is also complicit in all of this. Oh my gosh, you guys, this case, I got a stomach ache just researching and filming this thing. It's just beyond awful. In fact, Ruby got more views on her 8 Passengers channel when she included extreme punishments for the children. The whole situation for these kids was beyond awful. Ruby even reportedly sent her teen son to a camp in the wilderness for 8 months for bad behavior at home. She reported, by bad behavior, I just want to clarify, he pulled a prank on a younger sibling. And for that, he was sent to a wilderness camp for 8 months. 8 months. 8 months. Just let that sink in. Being separated from your parents and your siblings over a prank. I can see grounding him. But 8 months to a wilderness camp? Again, it was just extreme. Everything about what she was pushing and endorsing was just beyond the pale. Reportedly removed his bed, so he had no bed to sleep on. She removed his door, so he had no privacy. Many viewers and commentators found these punishments to be extreme and wondered what was really going on off camera. Well, now we know. It was way worse than what we saw on camera. Young children. What was going on off camera was apparently the fact that Ruby's child had to escape out of a window, go to a neighbor's house, and beg for food and water. The child was malnourished with duct tape on the skin and rope burns from allegedly being restrained. So this is not the only family vlog channel that's come under scrutiny. We've all heard about Micah Staffer and her husband and their adopted son Huxley, and the fact that she and her husband adopted this child allegedly for clout. They adopted a special needs child from a foreign country for clicks and views, in my opinion, and then when the child's needs began to cost them time and money, again, this was a special needs child they adopted. They gave. Many people feel like the Staffers did also exploited this little special needs boy that they adopted. Their views went way up while they were going through the adoption process and while they were adopting him. And once they had the subscribers that they wanted and the view counts that they wanted, they gave this little boy away. I'm not showing any pictures of any of the kids, just unless they're grown. The child away, and many people felt like Micah and her husband only adopted this child for clicks and views. The whole situation was beyond gross, but I digress. Let's get back to Ruby, Kevin, the 8 Passengers channel, and Ruby's dirty little secret. So Ruby and her husband at best sold their children's most personal moments in exchange for millions of dollars, and at worst exploited their children, neglected their children on camera and behind the scenes allegedly. It was also disturbing to see Ruby vlogging from inside her car while she's driving her children to and from school and other activities. And again, it seems like anything. I want to be clear, the reason I found this so bothersome is she's got little kids in the car. She's got kids in the car. She should be paying attention to the road. She should have her hands on the wheel, and instead she's vlogging. When in Ruby and Kevin's world on the 8 Passenger channel in exchange for some money. So on the channel, her children were seen repeatedly begging that she not film certain conversations. Neither Ruby or Kevin respected their children's boundaries. These conversations were not only filmed, but they were blasted all over social media for everyone to watch. It's really horrifying that this woman got together with a family life coach. Now, a life coach, if you don't know, has 0 licensing or training in mental health. And this, now Jodi apparently did have some training in mental health, but she lost her licensing. So she had to call herself a life coach. I want to know why she lost her licensing. What happened there? Woman, Jodi Hildebrandt, decided that she, together with Ruby, were going to start a channel offering advice on parenting. I sincerely hope that people stop watching this channel and do not take parenting advice from either Ruby or Jodi. Jodi's also under arrest because this child escaped from Jodi's house. And wait till I tell you about Ruby's dirty little secret, because it just all gets worse. But first, let's learn how this child got away from Ruby, Jodi, and why this neighbor called 911. Quote, the condition of this child was so severe that they were seen by the Santa Clara Ivans EMS and transported to a local area hospital, according to NBC News. Now, law enforcement was directed to a nearby house. So this is Jodi Hildebrandt's house, and this is the house that this 12-year-old boy climbed out of her window and ran to a neighbor's house in Utah, where a second child was found in similar condition. And this child also had to be taken to a local hospital for treatment. So neither one of these women should be giving parenting advice to anyone. The channel was called ConneXtions. So before she was arrested this week on accusations of CA, Ruby spoke hypothetically on YouTube about having a dirty little secret that a person is, quote, getting away with in a recent video. And she said, it might have been 5 years, 10 years. I might even take it to the grave with me, my dirty little secret. So it appears I don't have any outcomes and I get away with it. Well, thankfully, Ruby is not getting away with it anymore. Please subscribe. So Ruby is not getting away with it. She did get away with it for years and years and years. And her daughter, Sherry, you know, her post said everything. You know, she just really wanted to And let's go back to, now we have heard now from the dad, Kevin. He spoke to Page Six through his attorney. His attorney's name is Randy S. Kester, Kester. And he said that Kevin's, quote, urgent focus is simply to keep his children together under his fatherly care right now. I don't know if he should be allowed to have access to these children or not, because a lot of this stuff went on. A lot of this stuff went on under his care. Let's look at this. I have another package for you. Let me grab this. So this is, so Ruby Franke and her business partner, that's Jodi Hildebrandt, were charged with 6 felonies each. And they are 1 to 15 years for each one. And this is, Ruby is the one with the shorter hair, and Jodi is the one wearing the sunglasses. So she had very controversial parenting blogs, but I think this raises just a bigger issue with some of the, here's what they were charged with. I have to watch my words here, but let me just, so they're each accused of causing or permitting serious physical injury to the victims in 3 different ways. 1, a combination of multiple physical injuries, or I can't say this word. 2, starvation and malnutrition that jeopardizes life, so life-threatening. And 3, causing severe emotional harm. This is according to the county attorney in a statement shared with Insider. The whole thing is just beyond the pale. I don't know anything about that, social butterfly. I can't put that on the air. But I don't know anything about that. I don't know. I have no idea if they were just complicit together or if there was something more nefarious going on. But with that said, I have a premiere on another video. Yeah, if you didn't listen to the 911 call, I played 2. One came out, and the other one I believe is new to YouTube, and it's law enforcement. You can back it up. I played both of them for you during the live stream, and yeah, you can rewind a live stream even mid live stream if you want to see it. Did the father know? That's a great question, Catherine. I mean, obviously he knew about some things, right? He had to know that his son was sent to a wilderness camp, that his son didn't have a bed to sleep on. And these weren't poor people. These were people that had 2.5 million YouTube subscribers that were averaging 300,000 views on a video. I've never gotten 300,000 views on a video, but it's a lot of money. And they were posting multiple videos a week. So they were making bank on these kids. But he had to know that his children, that some were getting Christmas presents and others were not getting Christmas presents, right? Now, not giving your kids Christmas presents, but it's a withholding, isn't it? It's manipulation. So if we were all watching the 8 Passengers channel with like a red alarm fire going off, I mean, they had to know also. So yeah, I mean, that's a more appropriate thing, to take an Xbox away or ground your child, but to send them to an 8-month wilderness camp for a prank is extreme. And everything about the parenting was just extreme. Like when your kindergartner who has to make her own lunch. I don't know. That's really young to be making your own lunch, but okay. But then she forgets her lunch, and her punishment is she doesn't get to have food. And it seems like Ruby has this whole thing around food and withholding food too. And it was surfacing in the videos that they were posting and made a lot of people wonder, well, what's going on behind the scenes? Because if this is what they're willing to show us on their channel, what are they hiding from us? And it turns out they were hiding a lot. And that's why I'm not really sure. I guess it's going to depend on what the kids say, but should the kids go back into Kevin's custody? I'm not saying he knew that his children were being held in Jodi Hildebrandt's house with rope burns and duct tape and having food withheld, but what did he know? I guess is my question. Before these kids are like just automatically returned to this father, what did he know? And, when did he know it? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Jane says, terrible. Catherine says, this is terrible, really insane. Pam says, horrific. Yeah, I gave a trigger warning and there's a reason for it. So I'm going to be premiering a video in just a couple of minutes on YouTube. If you want to join me for that in the top chat, you're welcome to join me. Unsocial Butterfly says, I still do my 15-year-old's laundry and my 6-year-old isn't a big helper either. Yeah, and I think, if a kindergartner forgets her lunch, the more appropriate thing to do would just be bring her lunch. But this woman went on camera and hoped out loud to this 5-year-old's, this little kindergartner, this little 6-year-old's friends could see. Yeah, I agree. I think there was food issues. She went on camera and hoped that nobody would give her daughter any food. She publicly hoped for that. You're right, Kelly. They did not deserve these kids. A half parent isn't a safe parent. Yeah, if at the best he didn't say anything because he was, just not strong enough. I don't know. Would you turn these kids back over to their parents? I would suspect the children would have said something to their father. Well, yeah, unless he knew. I mean, he knew about the wilderness camp. He knew that only some kids were getting Christmas presents. He knew his wife had hoped on camera that nobody gave the 5-year-old food when she forgot to pack or kindergartner, she was 6, when she forgot to pack her lunch. So, I mean, he knew some of it. He had to know, Lori says. Pam Davison says, never. Lori Smith says, cruel. And Unsocial Butterfly says, I'm so proud of the child for escaping. This poor kid had to climb out the window and why were they at Jodi Hildebrandt's house, and how long had they been there? How long does it take to get rope impressions? And what kind of person puts duct tape onto someone's skin? Duct tape can really, it can tear your skin off when you remove it. I mean, the fact that he arrived at the neighbor's house begging for food and water with duct tape on his extremities and rope burns, and that he and his 10-year-old sister had to be hospitalized. And then Ruby's response was to go. And then when law enforcement wanted to talk to her, she ran away. They got her, but she ran away. Well, let me know what you think about this case in the comment section below. I am going to be premiering a new video, so I'm going to hop off here. We're going to go to that. If you want to join me at the premiere, please follow me over there. And join the top chat. And I would love to see you in the top chat and interact with you guys. Yeah, I think I'm worried about this too, Simple Smoothies. It was all about money and power and wealth, and they did not care about these children. So if you haven't already subscribed, please